surprise of the NBA, the 12-0, undisputed, in my opinion, best team in basketball, the Cleveland Cavaliers. And I don't care who out there is listening. J.B. Bickerstaff deserves to go to jail for what he did to this team the last few years. J.B. Bickerstaff had me thinking that Darius Garland was washed, that Evan Mobley wasn't tough, this team was garbage. What a change of coach and philosophy does for a basketball team. This Cavs team went from having like no bench to having about 10 guys that could play, and they can all shoot the ball, and they're physical, and they rebound, and they play good defense. And my favorite part about it is this: they are taking a Boston Celtic Golden State-esque model to the current NBA. We're going to shoot 50 threes a game, and if we go 20 for 50 every single game, we're going to beat you. And if 10 of our guys just make 1 or 2 threes a game, we're probably going to beat you. This is not a fluke. I don't care who they played. They just got done whooping Golden State. That game could have been by 60 if they tried in the second half.
Yeah.
This team is for real. They are legit, and I'm here to stay right now. I don't care if it's November. This Cavs team is here to stay. And I will say this right here today as we sit here. I don't care if it's November 12, 2024. Barring a legitimate bad injury to one of the Cavs' major key contributors, if they do not get at least a top 2, I'm not going to say number 1 because Boston's still there, but if they don't get a top 2 seed in the East, that's a collapse.
Yeah. I mean, given the state of Milwaukee and Philadelphia, we'll get into Philadelphia a bit later. Because, well, I'll just mention it right now. We're playing the 76ers tomorrow night in Philadelphia. The Sixers are playing right now as we speak. They're hosting the New York Knicks. Joel Embiid is back tonight. We'll see if he plays tomorrow. On the road to this Boston game next Tuesday, if we're going to stay undefeated, tomorrow night's game in Philadelphia is the one I'm most nervous about. I know they don't have Tyrese Maxey. Again, Joel Embiid is iffy because he said he's not going to play back-to-backs. But it's still the 76ers in Philadelphia. They usually play us very tough. We saw what happened against them last season in Cleveland when Buddy Hield shot the lights out and they came into our gym and beat us. I'm very nervous about tomorrow night's game in Philadelphia.
I'm not nervous at all because we're just the better basketball team.
On paper, yes. But again, I'm just like, Philadelphia has given us problems in the past.
Yeah, but I don't think Embiid's going to play.
And that will definitely make a big factor. But again, we've seen how well the Sixers have shot the ball against us in the past. Now,
but that was mostly with Embiid on the court.
Wasn't the game? There was a game last season they came into Cleveland and beat us.
But they also had Tyrese Maxey on the court, which is a big issue for them that they don't have.
That is true. So, if they're able to get through this game tomorrow night in Philadelphia, I think we're headed for a massive showdown next Tuesday in Boston.
Which is an NBA Cup game. And may I be the first one to say, that's what I hope we lose. Because I want nothing to do with this NBA Cup. I'll say it right here, right now. I don't want us in it. I want us to have a week off. I don't care. It means nothing. It's a waste of time. I want nothing to do with this ridiculous, stupid in-season tournament where they paint the courts and everybody acts like it's a big deal. It's stupid.
You know we're probably going to get in there because aside from Boston, we have Chicago, Washington, and Atlanta in our
Washington.
group. Yeah. Yeah.
I want nothing to do with that stupid NBA Cup. If we win it, you know what I'll say? Take that stupid trophy and throw it in the garbage. because it means absolutely nothing. Who won the NBA Cup last year? The Lakers. Did they win a single playoff game? The answer is no. They
No,
got
they
Jamal Murray and Nikola Jokic.
okay. So if the Cavs are able to get through that Boston game still with one loss or with undefeated, they could there's this potential they could coast into through November undefeated because following tomorrow night's game, they've got Philadelphia in Philly tomorrow, Chicago on Friday, Charlotte on Sunday, Boston in Boston on Tuesday, back to back against New Orleans on Wednesday, uh, Toronto at home on Sunday, and then a home and home against Atlanta on
Yeah,
Wednesday.
if they get by Boston, assuming they'll beat Philly tomorrow night, they could be flirting with that Golden State Warrior, 15, 16, 24-0 start. I'm serious when I say this. I don't think they're going to go 73-9, but could they go 69-13, 68-14? Like, I think this team is that good. I think they have as many players as Boston. We would have said going into that series last year, the Cavs could give Boston a fight. We just literally were watching the worst coach. How many times did I come on here last year in the spring, Josh, and tell you we were the worst coach basketball team of all time? I didn't think Kenny Atkinson was going to make this big of a philosophy change offensively. I was wrong, and it's freaking beautiful.
You know what's interesting too is their rookie Jalen Tyson has barely played.
He doesn't even need to play.
No.
My guy, Sam Merrill, you know what they say? White guys can't shoot. You know what Sam Merrill says? Yes, I can.
So here's my question. What do you do when Max Strus comes back? Do you put him back in the starting lineup?
Right. Because I trust him more than Okoro. So I would say yes. And you let Okoro be that defensive piece in that second unit? Because I think LeVert has excelled off the bench.
Or do you, like what we were doing before he had to leave with an illness, do you put Dean Wade back in that starting lineup?
You could. I think the beautiful thing is right now it doesn't matter. I think we have such interchangeable parts, and these guys are making shots again. All they got to do is make two threes a game. That's what Boston did last year. That's the math. 10 guys make 2 threes. Everybody goes, 2 for free or whatever. You go 20 for 50. You're 40% of the night. That's hard to beat.
Yeah.
Think about it. If you make 23s a night, you're at 60 points right there just on threes. You figure you're going to get 40 points from layup just by shooting in a layup once. That's how you get to 100 points.
Right. So, I think it should not have been that close on Saturday against Brooklyn.
Well, that was also because, we were going off a back-to-back. Shots weren't falling. And there is going to be that scenario. There's going to be like 4 or 5 games this year where the Cavs are just going to get blown up by 50 because they're not going to shoot well. It's going to be a bad night. They're not going to play defense like we saw from Boston a couple of times late in the year last year. But it's not going to be concerning to me.
Yeah. But my thing with them is they're playing well offensively. Defense at times has me a little concerned because
But that's okay because we don't need to have a great defensive team until the playoffs. We still have those deep. You could see the defense turning on late in games to get stops, even get back in that Brooklyn game.
Oh yeah, I mean there were some key defensive stops in those 2 Milwaukee games. Don't get me wrong.
I mean, did you think Boston had a great defense? Their defense was good. I didn't think their defense was great. Indiana lit them up. What they beat Indiana 4 games because they outshot Indiana.
Yeah, which I wouldn't just dismiss the Pacers. I think they're still going to be a factor in the East. But think about this. Right now, the Celtics and the Cavs are the only 2 teams above 500 in the Eastern Conference.
That's wild. Well, I do want to get to this topic quickly before we got to get out of here. Expectations. Klay Thompson returns tonight for Golden State.
Yes, I am very excited about this game. From what I understand, the Warriors are doing like a big giveaway, like a Captain Klay. Like,
As they should, obviously.
yeah, he's gonna get a statue outside Chase Center. He'll get his jersey retired. Um, he's saying like it's just another game. It's the NBA Cup, dude. This is not just another game. Like they probably should have traded him last year. You could tell they were headed for a breakup, given the way it was going last
We
season.
had a big debate about that.
Yeah, we had a whole discussion about this, and Jalen and I will never see eye to eye about Klay. You know my feelings about what type of player he was before his surgeries, and
Oh, in his prime, yeah, he was absolutely unbelievable. Me and you disagree about what he was after that.
yeah, um, he was my favorite player on the Warriors. Um, so I'm so excited for this game. I I'm wondering if the Mavericks are gonna make like a concerted effort to get him the ball early to kind of get him going.
Yeah, the problem for me is that this game was like later in the week, or later in the year, sort of a standalone, like a Saturday night ABC game. Maybe I'd get more into it. The fact that it's so early in the season, and like Golden State's a nice story to start the year. I don't know if they're going to be sustainable.
I think it's very sustainable for the Warriors.
It very well could be. I'm still a little bit worried that I think they're just too Steph dependent. Um, I don't know. It's like Clay's coming back. Like for me, Clay hasn't been the same player the last few years, so it's nice, but it's not a I gotta run to the TV to see it for me.
Oh, it's totally the opposite for me. Like it is where's my favorite spot on the couch? I gotta watch this game.